I never thought I'd be the kind of man who got cheated on. Not because I thought I was special. I just gave her everything. That should have meant something, right? My name's Michael. I'm a 41-year-old contractor from Spokane, Washington. I've built homes my whole life, but somehow I couldn't keep the foundation of my own marriage from cracking. Her name is Erica. We met at a 4th of July barbecue. She was loud, fearless, beautiful. The kind of woman who didn't wait for life to happen. She ran at it with open arms. When she smiled at me from across the picnic table, I forgot how to hold my drink. That night, we danced barefoot on wet grass while fireworks went off behind us. That was 16 years ago. Now, she barely looked at me when I walked in the room. We had a routine. I'd leave for work by 6 a.m., get home around 5:30, maybe 6 if traffic was bad. She'd be on her phone, scrolling, smirking at something she never shared. Dinner would be waiting or not. Some nights, she'd already eaten. Some nights, she'd be dressed up, saying she was meeting the girls from work. I'd stopped asking questions long ago. Not because I didn't care, because I was afraid of the answers. The first real sign came one Thursday night. She was in the shower, and her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I glanced at it out of habit. We'd always been open, no passwords between us for years. But now she had one. Still, the text preview popped up. Can't wait for tonight. Counting the minutes. Red heart. A. I froze. My stomach dropped like I'd driven off a cliff. I sat on the edge of the bed, waiting for her to come out. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I told myself maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe it was a coworker being too playful. Maybe I was still lying to myself. 2 weeks later, I followed her. She said she was having dinner with Stacy and Rachel, some casual tapas downtown. I waited 20 minutes after she left, then took my truck and parked 2 blocks away from the place. She wasn't with Stacy or Rachel. She was with a man. Late 40s, arrogant smirk, hair gelled back like he thought he was still 30. They sat close, whispering, laughing like high schoolers sneaking beer behind the gym. She touched his arm like it was second nature. I didn't go in. I didn't even cry. I just watched. I watched the woman I gave half my life to lean into another man like I didn't exist. And that's when the first part of me snapped. When she came home, I was already in bed pretending to sleep. She smelled like cologne that wasn't mine. She kissed my cheek softly. I didn't flinch. I just let the silence bury me. That night, I couldn't sleep. All I could think about was how long it had been going on. How many lies she had stacked on top of each other to keep her little fantasy alive. Was it weeks? Months? A year? I looked at our wedding photo on the dresser. She was smiling, veil blowing slightly in the breeze. I remembered how she looked at me back then, like I was her whole future. Now I was just a placeholder. The next morning, I left for work and took a detour. I parked across from the place where she worked. She was a marketing coordinator for a mid-sized design firm. That's where she met him. A stood for Adam, that smug, polished VP with a Rolex and a divorce behind him. I saw them. Again, they didn't hide it. He kissed her cheek in the parking lot. Her hand brushed his tie. I finally snapped a few photos. Not for proof. Not for blackmail. Just for me. To remind myself that I wasn't crazy. That I wasn't imagining it. I saved them on a flash drive and buried it in the glove compartment. The turning point came 3 days later. She came home late. Again. Same routine. Same lies. But this time, she said something new. We need to talk. Those words chilled me. She sat across from me at the kitchen table. Nervous. Not out of guilt, but out of calculation. Like she had practiced what she was about to say. I'm not happy, Michael, she began. I feel stuck. I feel like we've both changed. You've been distant. I don't think we're working anymore. I didn't say a word. She waited. Expected me to plead. To bargain. To ask, is there someone else? I didn't give her the satisfaction. She leaned forward, trying to look sincere. Maybe we need time apart. Space to figure out who we are now. That was rich. She had already figured herself out in another man's bed. So I nodded. Calmly. Okay. She blinked, surprised. That's it. I looked her in the eye for the first time in weeks. Yeah, that's it. Because in that moment, I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to cry. And I wasn't going to fight for someone who had already walked away. I was going to do something she never expected. Let her go. And let karma handle the rest. But I didn't know then that karma would take its sweet time, and when it finally struck, it wouldn't knock. It would blow her whole life to pieces. And I'd be standing there, quietly watching it burn. After Erica left, the house didn't feel like mine anymore. It was quiet, too quiet. The kind of quiet that echoes. Every room reminded me of her. The coffee mugs she never put in the dishwasher. The dent in the couch cushion where she used to curl up with her tablet. The faint smell of her perfume lingering on the sheets she didn't bother to take. For the first few days, I didn't do much. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't go out. I just sat in the silence and let it swallow me. She didn't even ask for a divorce. Not yet. She just said she needed time, like this was a break, like she was going on a vacation from our marriage. She moved in with him. I didn't have to ask. I already knew. The mutual friends stopped reaching out. Maybe they were embarrassed. Or maybe they picked a side. I didn't care. I wasn't looking for sympathy. I wasn't the kind of man who aired out dirty laundry. I was just surviving. Then came a call from my mother. "Michael, are you all right?" I saw Erica at the grocery store. She was with some man. I clenched my jaw. "She didn't mention anything to you?" My mom asked gently. "No," I said flatly. "She didn't." There was a long pause. Then, quietly, "She always said you were too good for her." Funny. I used to think that was just her being modest. Now I wasn't so sure. Weeks passed. I buried myself in work. Started running again. Hit the gym more. Even shaved the beard I had let grow wild. One morning, as I was loading supplies into my truck at the lumber yard, a voice behind me said, "Damn, Mike, you look 10 years younger." It was Darren, my old buddy from high school. We hadn't talked in a while, but it felt easy falling back into our usual banter. I ended up telling him everything. He didn't act shocked, just pissed. "She's with that prick Adam, right?" he said. I turned. "You know him?" "Of course I know him. His company worked with my sister-in-law. That guy's a walking scandal. Left his first wife after he tanked her family's business. He's a user." I raised an eyebrow. "What happened?" Darren leaned in. His last gig was in Denver. Company brought him on as VP. Looked great on paper. Within a year, he was caught shifting funds, overpromising contracts, and screwing the CEO's daughter. They fired him. Quietly. No charges, but blacklisted from most firms out west. I felt something cold rise in my chest. Erica left me for that. By mid-June, Erica messaged me. "Hey, can we talk sometime? Just about things. I think we owe each other that." I stared at the message for a long time. I didn't answer. She called the next day. I let it ring. 3 days later, I received an envelope in the mail, forwarded from our old P.O. box. It was a letter from Erica. "Michael, I hope you'll read this. I just want to explain. I never meant to hurt you. I got caught up in something I didn't fully understand. I thought Adam was going to be different. He made me feel alive again. But it's all a mess now. He's losing everything. I don't know where to go. I think I made the biggest mistake of my life." She went on for pages about how Adam lost his position at the firm after an internal audit exposed fraudulent practices, about how he was being sued by 2 former business partners, about how he started drinking more, blaming her, growing aggressive, and how, in the end, he walked out on her when she told him she didn't have anywhere else to go. Now she wanted to come back. She said she'd go to therapy, said she'd rebuild things from the ground up, said she realized how badly she'd broken us. The part that broke me wasn't her regret. It was the fact that she didn't come back until she had nowhere else to go. I wasn't her husband. I was her backup plan. I didn't respond to her letter, not out of spite, but because I wasn't the same man anymore. I wasn't the one who'd wait at the window, hoping she'd come home. I wasn't going to let her shame rewrite the truth. 2 weeks later, I saw her in person again. She showed up at the site I was managing, walking across the gravel like a ghost from a dream I'd long stopped having. She looked thinner, paler, older somehow. "Michael," she said, almost whispering. My crew looked over, sensing something awkward was unfolding. I stepped away with her behind the trucks. "Why are you here?" I asked. Tears filled her eyes. "I made a mistake." I didn't answer. I thought Adam was real. I thought he was going to give me something you couldn't. "Like what?" I asked. She blinked. "Excitement? Money." She didn't respond. "He gave you a story," I said. "That's all it ever was." Her lips trembled. Can we try again? Please. I miss us." I looked her dead in the eye. There is no us, Erica. There's what used to be, and there's what you destroyed. She broke down, sobbing, kneeling in the dirt behind my truck. But I didn't reach for her. I didn't hug her. I didn't say it would be okay. Because it wasn't. Not for her. Not anymore. That night, I did something I never thought I would. I texted her back. We can talk. One time. But not here. You come to the house Saturday. We'll have a real conversation. Everything on the table. She responded instantly. Thank you. I'll be there. I promise I'll make it right. But what she didn't know was that I wasn't planning to reconcile. I was planning something else entirely. Because while she had been running away from consequences, I'd been quietly preparing mine. And on that Saturday afternoon, she would finally face what she left behind. Saturday came with a storm. Not the kind that rattles windows. The kind that settles heavy in the air. Gray clouds hanging over everything like a warning. I'd cleaned the house the night before. Not for her. For me. I wanted the place to look like it had moved on. Fresh paint on the door. New throw pillows on the couch. Even a framed photo of my nephew on the mantle where our wedding picture used to be. Everything looked calm on the surface. But inside, I was a quiet hurricane. At exactly 3 p.m., her car pulled into the driveway. She stepped out slowly, clutching her purse like it held her last lifeline. Her eyes scanned the yard, then the porch. She looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, spiritually. Like the woman who used to fill every room had shrunk inside herself. I opened the door before she could knock. Hey, she said, voice cautious. I stepped aside. Come in. She walked in like she didn't recognize it anymore. That made me feel something. I couldn't tell if it was grief or closure. We sat at the kitchen table. She kept her hands folded, eyes on me. I appreciate this, she started. I know I don't deserve it. I didn't interrupt. I just listened. I've been broken. Since Adam left, I've had time to think. A lot of time. And I realize now what I gave up. Why I destroyed. She looked around the room like it was a crime scene. You didn't deserve what I did to you, she said. You were good to me. Consistent. Loyal. And I treated that like it was boring. I stayed quiet. I was chasing something I thought I needed. Adam made me feel alive. But it was fake. Everything about him was fake. He used me. And when his world fell apart, he dragged me down with him. Her eyes locked on mine. I know this is probably too late, but I want to fix it. I want to try. I want to come home. There it was. The thing she'd come to say. I leaned forward slightly. Do you love me, Erica? She didn't answer right away. I don't know if I know what love means anymore. She whispered. Wrong answer. I nodded slowly, stood up, and walked to the living room. I picked up a small box I'd hidden behind the couch and brought it to the table. What's this? She asked. Memories, I said. Inside were photos, letters, a flash drive, old anniversary cards she gave me, receipts from restaurants I knew she went to with Adam, ones I found on our shared bank statement when I started paying attention. At the bottom was the final piece, a printed copy of the text message from A that first tipped me off. I laid them out slowly, methodically, like evidence. Her face crumpled. You saved all this? No, I said. I documented it. Every lie, every date, every moment you chose him over me. Not because I wanted to hold it over you, but because I needed to remember I wasn't crazy. She covered her mouth with her hands. I sat down again. Do you know what it's like to question your own sanity, Erica? To be made to feel paranoid for months, while the person you love lies straight to your face. She shook her head. Tears streamed down her cheeks. You didn't just cheat on me. You erased me. You built a new life on top of my bones. I was lost, she said, voice cracking. No, you were selfish, I said calmly. You wanted adventure without consequences. And when the fantasy died, you thought I'd still be standing here. Like a backup plan. She sobbed openly now. I'm sorry. I am. Please, Michael. I'll do anything. I stood again. You don't get to do anything. She looked up, startled. I walked over to the counter and picked up another envelope. This one was thick, stamped, and sealed. I tossed it on the table. She hesitated before picking it up. What is this? She asked. My petition for divorce. Her breath hitched. No, please. I know what you thought, I said. You thought I'd be the man I used to be. But he's gone. You buried him. She clutched the envelope like it burned her fingers. Michael, please. I have nothing. I don't have a job or a place. That's not my problem anymore. Silence hung heavy between us. She was gasping for something. Anything to hold on to. And I gave her one more thing. I'm not doing this to punish you, I said quietly. I'm doing this to save myself. She stood, trembling. I don't know where to go. You'll figure it out, I said. Just like I did. I walked to the door and held it open. And for a long time, she just stood there. Finally, she walked past me into the gray afternoon light. But before she stepped off the porch, she turned and said something that made my heart stop cold. There's something I never told you. I blinked. What? She hesitated. It's about Adam. And about something he told me. Something that could ruin more than just us. What are you talking about? But she didn't answer. She just whispered, I shouldn't have come here, and walked down the steps. I stood frozen in the doorway, my mind spinning. What secret was she carrying? What did Adam do? And why did she look more terrified than guilty? Because maybe this wasn't just about infidelity. Maybe there were deeper lies, buried beneath the ones I already knew. I didn't sleep that night. Her words kept echoing in my head. There's something I never told you about Adam. That look on her face, it wasn't just regret. It was fear. A raw, haunted kind of fear I'd never seen in her before. Not even when I handed her the divorce papers. What could he have said to her? What secret was so dangerous she'd rather leave it buried? By morning, I couldn't stand the not knowing. I called her. She didn't answer. I drove by her sister's place, where I assumed she might be staying. No car. No one answered the door. I tried calling again that evening. Voicemail. I hated myself for caring. But it wasn't about wanting her back. Not anymore. This felt bigger. Like I'd stepped into something I didn't understand. The next day, I got an anonymous envelope in my mailbox. No return address. Just my name, printed in neat, uppercase letters. Inside, a single USB drive. No note. No explanation. I plugged it into my laptop, expecting something petty. Maybe Erica trying to manipulate me again. But what I found was a full folder of documents. PDFs, spreadsheets, emails, all tied to Adam. Fraud, forgery, shell companies registered under fake names. One folder was titled Internal Evidence, Brandix Audit. That was the design firm Erica worked at. Her company, her job. As I opened the files, my jaw clenched tighter with each click. Adam hadn't just been using company funds to pad his lifestyle. He was laundering money through vendor contracts, routing payments through dummy companies, several of which had Erica's name on the paperwork. Documents signed electronically by her email. Invoices addressed to her department. A full digital paper trail. Whether she helped or not, she was tangled in it. Maybe that's what she meant. Maybe she didn't just cheat on me. She helped cover up something criminal. And now it was unraveling. I sat back in my chair, sick to my stomach. Had she come back because of guilt? Or was she scared the feds were closing in? The next day, I got the confirmation. An old friend of mine, Jared, worked for a corporate investigations firm in Seattle. I sent him one of the PDFs, just asking for background. He called me within hours. Where did you get this? He asked, voice serious. Anonymous tip, I said. Well, whoever sent it knows what they're doing. This is evidence from a case we've been quietly building for months. Adam Delaney is under active investigation by both state and federal authorities. His assets are being audited. Grand jury subpoenas have already been issued. I didn't say a word. Michael, Jared said carefully, your wife's name is all over these files. She's not just a bystander. Could she go to prison? I asked. Depends. If she talks. If she cooperates. If she wasn't actively helping, she might walk away with a deal. But she'd better run, not walk, to a lawyer. That night, I drove around aimlessly. My phone buzzed. It was her. Erica, can we meet? Please. Tomorrow. Just us. I stared at the message for a while before replying. Me? Where? She gave me the address to a small public park on the outskirts of town, near the old train tracks. Private enough to talk. Public enough to stay safe. I said I'd be there at noon. When I arrived, she was already waiting on a bench by the duck pond. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Hair tied back messily. Pale. No makeup. A woman on the edge. She didn't say hello. She just handed me a manila envelope. Everything I have, she said. Emails, records, passwords. I copied it all. I'm going to the authorities tomorrow. I didn't say anything. I let her speak. I didn't know in the beginning, she whispered. He used me. Told me they were just consulting documents. He made it sound legitimate. But by the time I saw the truth, I was already in it. I exhaled slowly. And you didn't come to me? Her eyes filled with tears. Because I thought you'd hate me. Because I deserve for you to hate me. But also because I didn't think I could survive without him. That hit harder than I expected. I looked at her for a long time. This woman I once trusted with every piece of my soul, now handing me evidence to save herself. But was she doing it for justice? Or for survival? I'm sorry, Michael, she said, voice barely audible. I wasn't just a bad wife. I was a coward. I stood in silence, watching the water ripple at the edge of the pond. You still have time to be something else, I said finally. But you'll have to earn it. Not with me. With the truth. She nodded, wiping her face. As I walked back to my truck, my phone rang again. It was Jared. They just froze his accounts, he said. Delaney's panicking. He might try to run. I paused. Should I be worried? You? No. But her? Yeah. She's in the eye of the storm now. I turned, looking back at the bench where she sat. A woman who once broke me, now breaking under a much bigger weight. And for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I felt something worse. Pity. But the story wasn't over yet. Because what none of us knew was that Adam still had one final card to play. And what he did next would put everything on the line. It happened 2 days later. The morning news reported that Adam Delaney was missing. His house had been raided. Authorities seized files, servers, and hard drives. His office had already been cleared out by corporate weeks prior, but now the legal heat was official. They even pulled his passport. But he was gone, vanished. No one knew if he'd fled the country or gone into hiding. The report said he was considered a person of interest in multiple federal investigations involving fraud, identity falsification, and money laundering. The world was finally catching up with him. But instead of feeling satisfied, I felt sick. Because I knew if he'd vanished, he'd likely be desperate. And desperate men don't go down alone. That same afternoon, Erica called. She was sobbing. He texted me, she said through panicked gasps. From a new number. Said he knows I betrayed him. That I chose the wrong side. That if I talk to anyone, I'll regret it. I clenched my jaw. Did you call the police? I did. They told me to forward the message and stay somewhere safe. But Michael, I don't have anywhere else. I've got nothing. There was a long silence. I hated myself for what I was about to say. Come to the house. When she arrived, I didn't greet her with pity. I didn't pretend things were normal. I just let her in, pointed her to the guest room, and locked every door that night. Not because I didn't trust her. Because I didn't trust him. I couldn't shake the feeling he was watching. The next day, I spoke to Jared again. Do you think he'd go after her? I asked. If he believes she's the key witness? Absolutely. He threatened her. Then she needs full protection, Jared said. And fast. You too. That evening, while Erica was in the guest room, I set up my old hunting cameras. One in the backyard, one above the front door, one inside the garage. If Adam was out there, I'd catch him. By midnight, I heard it. A sound. Soft. A footstep. A rustle. I grabbed the bat by the door and moved toward the window. Nothing. Then buzz. My phone. Motion detected. Back porch. I clicked the feed. A blurry figure moved just beyond the edge of the porch light. Hooded. Tall. Slow steps. And then it turned and looked directly into the lens. Adam. I hit record. I didn't open the door. Didn't call out. He didn't try to break in. He just stood there, staring into the camera, then turned and walked back into the dark. The next morning, I handed the footage to the police. They said they'd increase patrols. But without a direct threat or break-in, there was little they could do. I gave Jared the footage too. His team passed it along to the federal agents working the case. Erica barely spoke that day. She was a wreck, shaking, staring out windows, flinching at every car that passed. He's unhinged, she kept repeating. He's going to do something. That night, I sat with her on the back porch. Why did you really come back, Erica? She hesitated. At first, because I had nowhere else to go, she said honestly. But now, I don't know. Maybe because I wanted to be near someone who knew the real me, even if he doesn't love me anymore. I said nothing. She looked down. I never said it back then. Not in the right way. But I loved you. I really did. I just lost sight of it. A breeze passed between us. Cold. Empty. I can't fix what I broke, she said. But I want you to know, I see it now. The life we had. What I threw away. I finally looked at her. I'm not the same man you left. I know, she said. And I don't hate you. She looked surprised. But I can't protect you from what's coming, I continued. Only you can do that. 2 days later, everything exploded. A SWAT team arrested Adam in Oregon. He had shaved his beard, changed his plates, tried to buy a fake passport. Someone recognized him from the news and reported it. When the police searched the motel he'd holed up in, they found a burner phone with multiple texts to Erica. Some of them were threats. Others were worse. Photos of her, taken from outside the house. Dates. Times. He'd been stalking her for days. Watching. Planning. They charged him with intimidation and witness harassment, on top of everything else. And just like that, it was over. Erica broke down the night the news broke. I thought he was going to kill me, she whispered, curled up on the couch. He wanted you scared, I said. But in the end, he lost. She nodded slowly, wiping her eyes. You didn't have to let me stay, she said. After everything I did, you still opened the door. I didn't do it for you, I said. I did it for the version of us that once existed. The part of me that still remembers who we used to be. She closed her eyes, silently crying. Thank you, she whispered. But just when I thought everything had settled, a letter arrived. From Adam. Postmarked 3 days before his arrest. It was addressed to me. Inside was a single page. No apology. No remorse. Just one line. She wasn't just part of the cover-up. She helped design it. I stared at it for a long time. I didn't show her. Not yet. Because if it was true, I needed to find out for myself. If she really did help him build that entire fraud operation, then this wasn't over. Not even close. I stared at Adam's letter for hours. She helped design it. 7 words. That's all it said. But it was enough to shake everything again. After everything. After the affair, the fallout, the fear, the near collapse of her life. This accusation was something else entirely. Not emotional. Not personal. Criminal. And if it was true, she didn't just betray me. She betrayed everyone. The people she worked with. The clients. Her future. But how could I believe the word of a man like Adam? A man who had manipulated, blackmailed, and threatened every person around him? Still, I needed to know. That night, after dinner, I told her. I got something in the mail. She looked up, mid-sip of tea. From who? Adam. Her hands froze around the cup. What did he say? I pulled the letter from my pocket and slid it across the table. She read it slowly. Her lips moved as she whispered the words aloud. When she finished, she set it down. Her hand shook. Then she looked at me. No panic, no denial. Just sorrow. He's not lying, she said softly. My stomach turned. What? I didn't mean for it to happen like that, she whispered. But yes, I helped him. At first it was just side documents. Brand strategy proposals, he called them. I thought it was harmless. I didn't know what I was signing. But later, I asked. She nodded. Later, I knew. I saw the accounts. The shell companies. I asked questions. He convinced me it was just temporary, just a way to get ahead. That he had control. That it was smart business, not crime. And you stayed. I stayed, she admitted. Because I was in too deep. And because, in some messed up way, I thought I loved him. I thought I was proving something to myself. Her eyes welled up. I didn't just cheat on you. I lost who I was. I became someone I don't even recognize. I didn't speak. She folded her arms across the table. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know the truth. Before everything hits. The next morning, she turned herself in. Her lawyer arranged it. The authorities already had enough evidence to question her. But she went willingly, handed over the rest of the files, and sat down for a full deposition. She didn't ask for leniency. She didn't ask for sympathy. She just told the truth. And for the first time in a long time, I saw the woman I married. Not the one who got lost. The one who stood by the consequences of her choices. The fallout was fast. The media didn't pick up her name. Thank God. But in legal circles, her cooperation helped build a tighter case against Adam. She became a key witness in the federal charges. She lost her job, her reputation, her career, but she didn't go to prison. They gave her probation and community service. The judge noted her cooperation, remorse, and the fact that she'd voluntarily come forward before any arrest was made. After the hearing, she asked if we could talk. We met at the same park as before. "I'm going to leave Washington," she said. "Start over. Maybe California. I have a cousin there." She offered me a room. I nodded. She looked at me one last time. "Michael, I know this will sound strange, but I want to thank you." "For what?" "For not letting me lie to myself. For showing me who I became. And for not turning your back when you could have." I stood there quiet. "I lost the right to be part of your life," she added. "But I'll never forget that you still treated me with dignity, even after everything I did." She turned to leave, but paused. "You were the best thing in my life." I just realized it too late. That was the last time I saw her. I watched her walk away, and for the first time, I didn't feel broken. I felt whole, not because she came back, but because I stood through the fire and didn't let it burn me down. 6 months later, I was in a better place. I'd started a new project, restoring an old craftsman-style home in the heart of the city. Something about rebuilding something broken felt poetic. I started going to Sunday dinners at my brother's again, even joined a community group for small business owners. And one night, I met someone. Not someone perfect, not someone dramatic or exciting in a way that made me lose control. Just someone real. We started talking over coffee, about work, about trust, about starting over. And that's when I knew I had let go, not of the memories, not of the pain, but of the weight of what she broke. Erica sent me one letter months later. It wasn't long, just a photo of her standing on a rocky beach at sunset. A short note underneath. "I'm learning to live with who I was. Thank you for giving me the space to become someone else." I smiled as I tucked the photo away, because sometimes redemption isn't about a second chance. It's about making peace with the pieces.